All right, let's dive into a concept from our source material that really challenges everything we think we know about who we are. It's called the soul walk-in. And the idea is that a person can change like completely overnight, not because of some life event, but because a brand new soul has literally moved into their body.
I mean, really think about it for a second. Have you ever known someone who went through something, maybe a bad car wreck, a serious illness, or just a really dark period, and they came out the other side a totally different person? It's like their personality, their hobbies, their whole reason for being just flipped. It's strange, and it leaves you wondering what on earth just happened.
Now, our first instinct is to say, oh, it was a near-death experience, it gave them a new perspective, but the material we're looking at today suggests something way, way more radical. It points to a kind of metaphysical transfer of consciousness.
So what is this called? Our sources define it as a walk-in. The key thing here is that it's a prearranged deal. The original soul decides it's time to leave, and it allows a new soul to come in and take over the body. That's the core idea we're going to unpack.
Okay, to help us wrap our heads around this, the source material actually gives a pretty helpful analogy. So here's how they frame it. We all kind of accept the idea of a soul entering a brand new baby's body at birth, right? Well, what if a walk-in is just the adult version of that exact same process? It's a way of taking this really out-there concept and making it feel just a little more familiar. Now, you're probably thinking this sounds like a super rare, once-in-a-lifetime kind of thing. But according to the sources we're digging into, that's just not the case anymore.
1 million. Yeah, let that sink in for a second. According to one of our sources, a channeled entity by the name of Joel Kuhl, that's the estimated number of walk-ins on Earth right now. So this isn't being talked about as some tiny fringe event, but as a really significant, large-scale phenomenon.
And this timeline really puts that number into perspective. See, for most of history, this was apparently super rare. But then, a couple of decades ago, the numbers started to climb, and they're supposedly peaking right about now. The sources connect this surge to what they call a planetary shift into the new age, a time when physical bodies are seen as valuable real estate, you could say. And they predict this trend is going to keep going for another 20 or 30 years before it becomes rare again.
So if this is really happening, how does something so profound even work? Well, it's not some kind of chaotic takeover. It's described as a highly organized, almost clinical procedure.
And this is the most important part to remember. It's all about consent. This whole thing is managed and agreed upon at the soul level or the higher self. It's a voluntary exchange, not a hostile one.
And here are the ground rules, so to speak. First, and this is non-negotiable, both souls have to agree to the swap. Second, the physical body has to be healthy enough to handle this massive energetic shift. Third, the person's emotional state needs to be stable. And finally, the whole thing is apparently supervised by teams of spirit guides from both sides to make sure it all goes smoothly.
This quote from the material really says it all. It describes the process as being very much like a major surgery on an etheric level. Etheric meaning on an energetic, non-physical plane. It's this incredibly delicate operation where the essence of one soul is basically unplugged from every single cell and the new one is plugged in.
Okay, so the surgery is over. What's it actually like for the new soul? What happens when they wake up the next morning? Because it is anything but simple.
Man, the reality for the walk-in is just incredibly complex. First off, they get all the memories of the person who was there before, which means, and this is huge, they don't even know they're a walk-in at first. Can you imagine that? Waking up feeling totally confused, but also kind of like you belong in a life that isn't yours? You also inherit the old soul's karma, and you have to figure out their family, their friends, their job. The integration period can take anywhere from a few months to 6 years, and it's often full of health problems. And when they finally do realize who they are, that discovery can be completely shattering.
And this is how it all stays hidden in plain sight. You know, a spouse or a friend will see this dramatic change, but they'll just explain it away. They'll say something like, "Wow, that accident really changed you. You have a whole new lease on life." They see the effect, but they completely miss the real cause. They think it's just a new attitude, not a whole new person. Now, to get an even sharper picture, it helps to understand what a walk-in is not, and the sources are really clear about distinguishing it from other things you might have heard of. So the biggest point of confusion is possession, and the difference boils down to one simple thing: consent. A walk-in is a voluntary, pre-planned exchange between two souls who are in complete agreement.
Possession, on the other hand, is described as a forced entry. It's an invasion, where the original soul does not want to leave and gets pushed out of the way against its will.
And the source material also separates it from something called overshadowing. That's when two souls actually share a body at the same time. So, to keep it straight, a walk-in is a replacement, possession is a hostile takeover, and overshadowing is basically having a roommate. Three very different things.
Which brings us all the way back to that staggering number, 1 million. Our sources claim that these are often highly evolved souls who come here out of a desire to help, to serve, arriving at this really pivotal moment for the planet. And that leads us with one last massive question to chew on. If this is real, and it's happening on this kind of scale, what kind of future are they all here to build?